Alright, now just like before in solving for hypotenuse, okay, we're going to solve for legs now, and just like before, we need to identify which side is what, okay? So we know the side across from the right angle is C. We know that these two sides would be A and B. So I'm just going to put A here, B here. I'm not really sure. I'm just picking sides. The only one I know for sure is this one is C. Okay? The other two don't matter. So we're always going to start out with the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, and we're going to plug in the numbers that we know. So a is going to be 6. B we don't know, so it stays b squared. And c is going to be 10 squared. So now we're just going to square them. 6 squared is 36. Bring down your b squared. 10 squared is 100. Now this is just a regular equation that you're used to seeing. I want to get b squared by itself, so I have to get rid of the 36. So this is a positive 36. So the opposite of a positive is a negative. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides of the equation. These two over here cancel out. We're left with b squared equals 64. Right. Okay, and then we have not solved for b, so we have to do that. Okay, so we would square root both sides, so b equals, and then you're just finding what number times itself is 64, and in this case we know that 8 times 8 is 64, so b would equal 8 feet. If you wanted to put it in the calculator, you could put in, okay, let me see if I get this, 64 and square root, and it gives us 8. So we still get the same answer. So if you don't know them by heart, you can use the calculator. The goal is to memorize those perfect squares, those numbers that you can easily find. Okay, so we're going to move into example 2. Again, here, the first thing you want to do is identify which side is what. So the side across from the hypotenuse is always C. And I'm going to say this is A and this is B. Okay. Could I switch those up? Yes. And I actually am going to. I'm going to make this B and this A. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, I don't know what A is, so I'm going to leave it. B, I have labeled as 4, and C is 21. So I have A squared plus 4 squared is 16. 21 squared, to determine that, you just do 21 times 21 is 441. So now I want to get A squared by itself. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So A squared equals 441 minus 16 is 425. Now, I want to solve for A, not A squared, so I got to square root both sides. So A equals, I'm going to square root that, 20.6 meters. Now, the last thing we're going to do is to determine if, in fact, 3 numbers that you're given are right triangles. Okay, so we're going to start off with this. We know these 3 numbers are given in example 3. And because we're trying to determine if it's a right triangle, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to plug all 3 numbers in, and the largest number, the longest length, would be c. Okay, and in this case, the square root of 200 is going to be c. So we're going to plug in 10 squared plus 10 squared equals the square root of 200 squared. So 10 squared is 100. 10 squared is 100. The square root of 200 squared. When we talked earlier, briefly talked, the square root undid the square up here. The square root undid the square. So here, the square undoes the square root. So this would be 200. So when we add them together, 200 does equal 200. So yes, it is a right triangle. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing over here. Again, our largest length is going to be C, so in this case 25 is C. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 9 squared plus 16 squared equals 25 squared. 9 squared is 81. 16 squared is 16 times 16, 256 equals, and then we're going to do 25 squared, 625. Now I can see they're not going to add together to equal, but I'm going to go ahead and add them. So 6 plus 1 is 7, 8 plus 5 is 13, carry the 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. 337 does not equal 625, so because they're not equal, we put a slash through the equal sign, and we just write not a right triangle.